Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Hoops Journey. If you don't know the name by now, then you need to do a little bit more homework. But I don't like to take a lot of notes for those that wonder, or if you wonder at all about the podcast. I like to really make this just a open conversation. But I did do some research, and I do have to name a few things that I was reading upon. This lady has been balling for Team Canada for a long time, so that's nothing new. Just coming off helping us get closer to qualifying for the Olympics, which we'll get into, and kind of the juggling of all that. Yes. The all-time leader at Syracuse, and I am reading this correct, in points, blocks, field goals, free throws made, free throws attempted, and games played. Tied second in career rebounds. So that alone kind of tells you a little bit. I saw some clips of her the other night with a light 21 and 15 and some nice high-low action, sealing down low. That's near and dear to my heart. And I'm an undersized 3'4", so a nice little jump hook seal down low is what I like to see. You don't see a lot of that in the game anymore, so I respect it. The 8th overall pick in the WNBA, a great story, but more importantly, someone who is also a writer, came out with a book, The Magic of Basketball, and has branded that and has a huge passion for the future of women, not only in sport, but whatever career they choose. So that's also something I'm looking forward to getting to as well. We have none other than Miss Kayla Alexander with us today. How are you?
Well, talk about an introduction.
Come on.
Yeah, you definitely did your research. I don't think I'm first for games played anymore. I think someone else broke that record. But
I was wondering.
I'm sure someone will break out the other records eventually too. But you did your research, so thank you. And I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to chat with you.
Awesome. It's our pleasure, and we appreciate you taking the time, knowing that you've just come off kind of a crazy time. You know, you said, "Yeah, I'm just touched down in Miami. I'm sure there'll be some downtime then." And it's like, nope. And then, a flight and another flight and games. And so just talk about the last sort of month for you, juggling the whole professional side of things, but also you've got it on your chest right now, mad love for Team Canada and represent, and sort of just knowing that we're that, I say we, but I feel part of it because I'm a Canadian too, and just sort of that pride, and sort of how has the last month been, and how do you manage as an athlete to sort of make sure that you're in a good place mentally and physically going through it all?
Cool. Okay. So for those who don't know, I play professional basketball in France for a team called Tango Bourges, which is located in Bourges, literally in the middle of France. It's a 2-hour train ride south of Paris. And we play about twice a week. Usually Tuesday or Wednesday, we play for Euro Cup, which is where we play against other countries' teams who are also in Euro Cup. And then on the weekends, we play our LFB game, which is our Ligue Féminine Basket, or our French league games. So this month I had our games, and then we had a Euro Cup game in Antalya, Turkey. Then I flew from Turkey to Miami to meet up with our national team to have about 5 days of training. And then after that, we had 3 games in 4 days for our pre-Olympic qualifier. Since we finished this summer, we finished 3rd in AmeriCup, which was the beginning stages of qualifying for the Olympics. Since we didn't finish top 2, it forced us to have to play in this tournament in February. So we played against Venezuela, Colombia, and Puerto Rico. We were undefeated, handled our business. So now we have qualified for the final Olympic qualifying tournament that will take place in November. We just did November. Or February. Sorry, I just misspoke. Our tournament, the final qualifying tournament will be in February. We'll be in Hungary. We have Hungary, Spain, and Japan in our bracket. So not any easy games. So I'll be tough games. And then there's 4 different tournaments happening around the world at that time. And the top 3 teams in each pool, so top 12 total, will qualify to play in the Paris Olympics in 2024. And that is our goal. So after we completed our job in Colombia, that's where our tournament took place, where we qualified for February, I flew back to Bourges technically Paris, did a 3-hour drive to Bourges, where we are. And then I've been getting back into practices. We had 2 games already. We had an away game, a home game that we just won last night. Had practice today. I was able to get some rest, and then we're back at it. So back in the season, it never ends. But I love what I do, and I'm very thankful to do what I do.
Sure. And I think, that idea of being grateful is always good, but also gives perspective for the listeners and people and I think it's great because we're seeing more on TV and we're reading more about our national teams and seeing, and, just if some people have never followed the women, then they wouldn't know. And if you just followed the men this summer, just seeing the grind and like the chaos of FIBA ball is nuts. And what you just described and sort of just that up, down, and like, it's wild. And I think that's why we need to just be super aware, but also celebrate more when our teams do qualify and make the Olympics, because the journey that it takes is crazy. And we thank you for, and I know for you, you say you love what you do and it's a passion, but it's not something that you have to do, right? You're getting paid to do something on one side, but you also have the pride to play for your country. And we're grateful for that because you're a killer. So we need you.
I appreciate that. But yeah, I am. It's not always easy. Like sometimes it can be a lot, like having the travel, dealing with different time zones. But I do think it's a privilege and an honor. And it took me a while to get on the national team too. So I don't take it for granted at all. I try to enjoy every moment of it because I know in an instant it can be taken away. So I'm very thankful, and I love my teammates, the coaching staff. So yeah, I try not to take these things for granted.
Yeah.
And we have to window to play too. Like if you think about it, professional athletes have an early retirement. We can't play ball until we're 60 years old. So enjoy it while you can.
It's very true. And I think we'll probably get into it. It seems like you're kind of not reinventing, but inventing more about yourself post basketball here, which I'm looking forward to get into. And that's a very good point. So yeah, take advantage. And also super cool that it is hard to make the national team these days because we have so many hoopers in our country, right? Like that's, as I'm sure you had a lot of tough meetings and a lot of moments where you were jaded, but still that pride to want to play for the country, but knowing that, all right, like I got to come correct here to make this team, which is awesome. Yeah. So, all right, this is going to be great. Let's get right into it. Tell us about yourself. Let us know about kind of young Kayla running around and why basketball was, what you chose when you were a young person and when it sort of started to come into your life as a sport that you really wanted to play.
So I'm the oldest of three. My sister and I are 15 months apart. And then after that, I have my younger brother, Kyle, who also plays professional ball. He's 5 years younger than me. So growing up, for the most part, it was always me and my sister. We were like attached at the hip. We did swimming lessons together. My mom put us in, she put us in swimming. We played all the sports in school for fun because we just enjoyed being active. She would put us in different camps, always had us try different things. So piano lessons, everything. And then this is when we were growing up living in Scarborough. Then because of my dad's profession, we moved to Barrie. And then that was in the 6th grade, we moved there. And then in the 7th grade, I met Nicole Murphy at Barrie's Andrew Hunter Elementary School. And I was always the tallest in my class. And before I got there, she was always the tallest. So when she saw me, she was like, oh, little tall girl, you should come to a basketball tryout with me. So I was like, sure, why not? So I'm down to try everything. So I go with her to a tryout, thinking, my parents and I thinking it's going to be like a little house league thing, but it's a full-on rep basketball team that travels across the USA, travels across Ontario, competing every week and training at least 2 times a week. So I go to the tryouts and I am awful. I don't know what I'm doing. I can barely dribble the ball. I don't really understand the rules. I'm playing hot potato. I go to do a layup and I break that ball so hard off the backboard. I think it starts going the other direction. It's just awful. So there's 3 rounds of tryouts. The first round struggles, but I make the cut. Second round struggles again, make the cut. Third round, the coaches decide who's going to be on the team. And I think to everybody's shock, including my future teammates, they're like, Kayla, you're on the team. So I tell my mom and she doesn't believe me. So she goes to the coach and my mom's like, you sure? This is her first year playing basketball. She's athletic, but she doesn't have like the skill set. And I'll never forget, Monique Kovacs told my mom, I can't teach her height, which she has, but I can teach her how to play basketball. And so thanks to Monique Kovacs, Keith Macy, my coach at the time, my friend Nicole Murphy, and my incredible parents, all of them believed in me, gave me a shot, and helped me to develop. And slowly but surely, throughout that year, I slowly built on my skills, improved, slowly got better. And it was a fun season. It was a lot of challenge. I remember the days in the driveway with my pops. He bought a basketball hoop and we just worked on just doing mic drills, English, the finishes, the hook shots, which to this day is my go-to move. I love the
Yes.
hook shot. I remember those hours that we spent together, the hours that they would drive me to practices, the games. Remember my first game, I got an offensive rebound and I was like looking around, like, what do I do? My teammates were like, shoot the ball. So I didn't realize I was trying to put the ball back in. I remember that same first game also, I got fouled and I went to the free throw line and I airballed my free throw. So that was a good time. But I say all this because I started, like, you got to start somewhere, right? But
Yep.
as I continued to put in the work over the years, I started to develop that love for the game too. Just there's something about when you see your hard work like pay off and you see the improvements, it's kind of addicting. It's like, okay, like what next level can I get to? So I really enjoyed that whole process. And throughout, I can talk more into this, but just throughout my journey with the game of basketball, it has blessed me and taught me and challenged me in ways that I never could have imagined. And it's helped shape me into the woman that I am today.
I love that. So early on, when being big, gangly, tripping over yourself, why did we not walk away? What was it about the game? Was it because you had the people around you that were just saying, you'll be all right, just stick with it? Because he beat me to my point. I was wondering how tall you were at that point, but why did you 5? There you go. Okay. That's like, I think that's the average size of our team this year here. So, yeah. So why did you stick with it? What was it about the game early on? Because clearly there was something that was helping you stick with it.
I think, and I can't speak for everybody, but I know, like, for me, a big part of it was my environment. And I felt like as a young girl, I was put in an excellent environment that harnessed and like was all about like growth and development. I had amazing coaches that were super encouraging. I had really supportive parents who were just all about helping me to have fun and enjoy the game. I had my friend Nicole, and I made other friends on the team. And I think that social aspect too, about having friends and that camaraderie at a young age, I felt safe, and felt like I had a perfectly safe and fun environment to grow and to blossom, which I'm thankful for. And then also, as far as like the love for the game, one thing I will say I'm very thankful. My parents never forced me per se to do anything. Like they were always like, okay, you can try things. If you don't like it, okay, at least finish that whatever we paid for, and then you're done. But with basketball, they never forced me into it. It was something that a friend introduced me to, and that love developed naturally. Like it was something that I was able to find on my own, and through the hard work, my teammates, and just the joy that I had through playing the game and seeing myself, even though I was challenged and it wasn't always pretty, I was having fun with it. So I think that love just came naturally, which allowed me to continue to pursue the sport. So like even as I got older, those moments that I had that were tough moments were either I was on the bench or I was going through injuries or I wasn't producing the way I wanted to, the things that would make you want to stop the sport. I was like, no, I love this sport too much to stop here. Like I'm going to find a way through this barrier, through this adversity to get on the other side.
Wow. Great reflection. I love it. You know what? 122 episodes in or whatever. And I don't know if anyone's ever mentioned how they felt safe playing the game of basketball. Obviously they did. And I think about myself as an educator. It's like the number one mandate at our school is kids need to feel safe, or else how do they learn? How do they, socialize if they don't feel safe in a building? And it's so true about sport. When you have that coach and those teammates that make you feel a part of it and feel safe, you really can grow. And that's amazing. Well done. Holy. All right. I love it. A lot of
young girls need that too in sport. Like if young girls feel safe, accepted, and in a great environment that fosters that, I feel like more girls would hopefully and probably stay in sport instead of dropping out at the rates that they are right now.
So when you mention the female side, obviously me being a male, like, is it because, like, do you feel like girls are just harder on themselves, or they're so worried about perception? Like what is it that's the safety side that makes it so important for someone like yourself when you're young?
Ooh, that's a good question. I know I'm not going to speak for everybody, but
yeah.
So I know for me personally, I'm very like driven inside. Like I can be like my worst critic. Like I can be very critical of myself, and I have to remind myself, you wouldn't talk to your friends like this. Don't talk to yourself like this. And then I mentor some young girls, and I've noticed that maybe it's because they love the game and they're very passionate, that they can be very hard on themselves as well too. So I think being around a support or in a system where the coaches are constantly like encouraging you and like they see your drive and like they want to help you get to that point, but also remind you like take a chill pill, give yourself some grace, like have fun with it. Also, like, knowing that you're with friends as well too. Like when you have friends on your team, it gives you more joy. So I don't know if that answers the question, but I feel
It
like
does.
okay, because I was like that. I was thinking when you asked that question, I thought to the young girls that I mentor and then brought that up because I remember them saying like their parents even telling me like they're really hard on themselves. Like I always try to remind her like you're not gonna be perfect from the jump. Like it takes time, it takes grace, and it's true. But I don't know if it's just that desire to always because you're so driven or what it is. But we can be hard on ourselves at times.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Thank you for that. All right. So the game keeps developing for you. It's something that you're loving. You talked about putting the work in and seeing yourself growing and getting better and realizing the skill set's getting bigger. Talk about those high school years for yourself and when you started to get some interest to the next level, on the post-secondary side of things and how that journey went for you.
Cool. So I think from grade 8 to grade 10, 11 was like a lot of like growth, and it opened up my eyes to like the game of basketball, where it can take you, the things, opportunities it can provide to you. So in grade 8, I think that's when I first started doing JDP and BDP, these developmental programs that were
Okay.
within Ontario, I believe. You familiar with it or?
No, I mean, they call it CP, Center for Performance
Ooh,
here,
I
but
had that back in the day
okay.
too.
Yeah,
Okay, so they
yeah.
still have those.
Yeah. It's a little bit modified. They've changed it a little bit because the club system and just sort of the travel, like in the lower mainland, to get the best players from, whether it's up north or off the island kind of thing. But they do still sort of have it. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, because I remember also doing that.
Yeah.
And when I talk about anxiety, oh my goodness, I used to dread, as much as I enjoyed it, reflecting back, I'm so thankful for the experience. I
Mhm.
used to have such anxiety going into those, only because I just saw the other girls and I was like, they're so good. I'm not at
Yeah.
the level, like I'm not there yet. And I just felt like so not, yeah, I just felt like I was trying to like they were who I was aspiring to be. So I
Mhm.
always felt like a lot of like dread, excitement, but dread going into it. But I'm still thankful because through there, I got to meet Mike McKay. I met Sefu Bernard, various other coaches who were just really great about like
We had
instilling.
Safu on the pod.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
have so much love for him. He's amazing.
Yeah. What a spirit.
Yes. Oh my
That
goodness.
guy's got some energy. I felt like we could have gone for 3 hours just chatting. Yeah.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
an incredible human being. I'm so
Yeah.
thankful that he was part of my journey.
Love it.
But having coaches like him that are just instilling like skill sets again, like teaching you basketball the right way. So that was part of my growth, I would say, in development. Playing for Team Ontario, I played for Team Ontario for 3 years, and that was an experience as well too. Because then I got to
Hmm.
play against other girls across the nation who are the best of the best in their provinces. Continuing with AAU basketball, so playing for Barrie Royals and playing for Toronto 5-0, Toronto Triple Threat, playing in tournaments in the USA and challenging yourself against some of the best in the US, and then just seeing how they play and how you match up. And then I'll never forget in the 9th grade, I got my first letter, and it was from Texas Tech University. And I was like, how in the world did a school in Texas put me all the way up here in Gary? I was so excited. And that's what opened my mind up to like the fact that, oh, Kayla, like one, people think you're pretty good. And two, like if you continue to work at this, you can get a free education out of this. You can go somewhere and play elite basketball and get an education in the process. So that opened my mind. Through Team Ontario, being able to travel, I got to go to new provinces. Outside of that, for basketball, I don't think I would have ever traveled to like another province. So I got to see, I think, 3 different provinces just through Team Ontario. And then through AAU rep, being able to travel to the USA and just all the different travel that I got to experience through this game. It just opened up my eyes to the possibilities and the people that I met. Yeah, it was an experience. I was like, okay, this game can give and do so much for you.
Hmm.
Also so this is like a story that I like to share with young kids whenever like I'm talking about like my journey. I always talk about the recruiting process too, which in many ways I was such a social or antisocial kid, shy. I did not
Okay.
really enjoy the recruiting process. I didn't like the phone calls, having
Yeah.
to talk. It
The
was not my thing.
forced small talk, not your thing,
Yeah,
huh?
not my thing.
Yeah.
Did not look forward to that. I was thankful I had my parents to help me out, especially my pops.
Sure.
Shout out to him.
But, yeah.
Um,
But you're also so young too, right? And you're talking to like an adult. It's like,
Yeah.
how was your day? You're like, I don't know, like had class and we had practice and then hung out and I don't know, you know what I mean? Like
Like,
it is
what
like an
questions am I
interesting
supposed to
thing.
ask you? How? Yeah, it was just, yeah, it was a lot. Not my favorite part of the whole experience.
Shout out,
But
Dad.
oh yes, but I know the thing that really stood out for me that I learned too is like just like the skills and the habits that you develop at a young age that will help you in life, literally, like that basketball forced me to develop. Remember, like my mom always told me, Kayla, you're a student athlete, a student first and an athlete second. She did not care. I remember one time I had an assignment that I didn't do and I had practice. She's like, you're not going to practice. You got to finish your assignments. So that was always her mentality. But I remember I was struggling in my math class and Stanford was recruiting me at the time. And when they saw my transcripts, they were like, oh, nope, we don't know if you'll be able to handle this workload. So we're just not going to look at you anymore. And that's something I always share with young kids because it shows the importance. Like if you want to pursue basketball, you got to make sure your academics are right there. So I got myself in shape and got that up to par. And then also not being afraid to ask for help because I was just in that math class, like struggling. And then when it came to lay, like, Kayla, you're not doing so well. My parents on my grades are like, Kayla, we can get you a tutor. So just that speak up, like ask for help. And also like, if you want to play at an elite level and play basketball, your grades got to be there too. So that's something I always share with kids. I'm like, we're all going to fail. I failed multiple times and this is a learning experience that hopefully you don't have to go through if you can learn from me. So
I think to me, what I'm hearing is just a good reminder for coaches, teachers, mentors out there to sort of just be in tune and connected with the people that are around you, the young people that you're working with, right? At times coaches wonder like, why is that kid not doing this? And maybe like you said, maybe they're like you and they don't see themselves in that role or to be able to perform that skill. And you need to connect with them and let them know that and make them feel safe again and build that trust. Just like in the classroom, I teach PE. So it's more, and I always say to the kids, like when you're in math class, only the teacher and unless you share with your friends, like, oh, look at this F I got. We're the only two that know that I'm struggling. Whereas, in PE where you're moving and so it can be very self-conscious. And so I really try to take an effort to make kids feel that we're not handing out the, handball award at the end of class, right? It's a safe place. And I think that all the things to me you're talking and touching on is just to make sure that we're connected and know these kids, not just as a player or a student, but just a little bit. We don't have to know every single detail, but just make them feel comfortable. And it's so awesome that you've had that experience and sharing that. How have you gone about? Where have these connections come up for you in terms of mentoring young girls? Is it when you're kind of back home? Has it happened overseas or a little bit of everything?
a little bit of both. So I do what we're doing right now. I jump on a Zoom call with my mentees. So like,
nice.
Yeah, when I was at home, but I could be more consistent. I would try to do like weekly.
Sure.
When you play ball overseas, it's a little hectic. So now it's like once a month, once every 2 months, unless they send me a text or email, like, can we jump on a call? And I was like, sure, let's try and figure out this week.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because honestly, I just this game has given me so much and I'll be forever thankful to it. So I always try to like just give back. People poured into me. I wouldn't be here where I am without my parents, my support, my community, those who supported me and helped me along the way. So to me, it's important to be able to take what I've learned and gained from this sport and pour it back into the next generation.
As you know, Carl and myself run this podcast strictly out of our own pockets and try to do our best. And we've had a guy step up, a gentleman by the name of Doug Beers. Doug Beers has a company called Pro Gift Cards. It also funds our other sponsor, PGC Basketball Academy, with some other key corporate donations that Doug gives out. He's a very generous guy. We're very thankful for him. If you need bulk gift cards, and when I say bulk gift cards, I've been to his office, from Tim Hortons to Earl's to Canadian Tire, it's across the board, Walmart, you name it, all right? For your company or any organization, Pro Gift Cards can get them to you at a discount. If you mention a Hoops Journey podcast, you'll get a special discount as well. So whether you're running like a golf tournament or some sort of event, reach out and he'll take care of you. If you Google Pro Gift Cards, they're also found on the Walmart Canada website under gift cards as the exclusive supplier for Walmart Canada gift cards. Support his company. He's a great guy, a big hoop head, and has really looked out for our podcast. Once again, that's Pro Gift Cards. Mention a Hoops Journey, and you can find yourself a little bit of a deal. Thank you to Doug Beers. I mean, props to you. And I think that's fantastic. It says a lot about how you're brought up and how you've grown into the woman that you are. And also how cool it is we're in a place where a young person can just send a text and it's a quick Zoom. Whereas, not long ago, it was like, how the heck would you be able to mentor someone from Ontario right now? Like, it just wouldn't happen. Maybe it's like a phone call, right? So I think that's so fantastic and good for you. And I think you're going to impact and are impacting so many people. That's great. So let's be honest, you're out there, you're killing the game. All right. You're getting letters in grade 9. There's good things happening. You're also overwhelmed and not really liking the recruiting side of things. How does one decide on the Orange, on good old Syracuse? Obviously, and a pretty well-known athletic school, but sounds like there's going to be some academic reasons and maybe location. But how did you? I'm guessing the shoebox was stacked with letters. So how did we decide that was the spot?
Yep. So again, my mom, her number one thing was, Kayla, education. Like, that's most important. Basketball can stop at any time, but your piece of paper, once you have that, no one can take it away. So her big thing for me was figuring out what I wanted to actually do, which ever since I was like in the second grade, I always wanted to be a teacher. I had this incredible teacher, Madame Cassette. I was in her class. She skipped my sister a grade because she noticed like she was excelling, and she was just helped me with my art, and I brought up my artistic side. And yeah, she just inspired me. To this day, I still think of her when I think of teachers. So I was like, I want to be like her.
You mean she didn't just stuff curriculum in your face and give you homework? No. She actually connected with you and
yes, she was
okay. Cough, cough. Sorry.
No, she was great. Like, just amazing. So because of her, I always said I wanted to be a teacher, and that was always my mindset: teacher, teacher, teacher. So my mom was like, "Okay, well now we know that that's what you want to do. So we're not going to a school that doesn't have this a teaching program for you." Yep. So that eliminated some schools, because there were some schools I really liked, but they didn't have it. And they're like, "We could make it for you." My mom was like, "No, go to a school that." So that was one. And then the second part, my parents were just like, "Okay, what's important to you? Do you care about the weather? Do you care about how far we are? Just keep in mind, like, if you're further away, we can order the games online or on the TV, but we can't come see you and support you as often in person. Or you're going to be homesick," which I don't really get homesick. Other important things, like, they're like, campus, does that matter to you? The coaches, the coaching staff, what kind of relationship do you have with the coaches? Their style of play. Is there opportunity when you come in? If you come in your freshman, sophomore year, will you get opportunities to play, or will you be riding the bench at first? They had me like literally critically think about all these different situations and scenarios that could happen. And then in the summer, my dad and I did like a long road trip, just going on unofficial visits to different schools, checking out the campuses, connecting with some of the coaches in person, seeing the different their locker rooms, just in general, just like checking it out, just to see what it would be like, try to get a feel for like living that true experience. And then eventually I narrowed it down to both Orange schools, Syracuse Orange and Illinois University. And when I went on my visit to Illinois, it was good because I got to do did the campus tour, got to play with the girls, pick up, which was fun too. So I got to see like, okay, areas where I need to, like, where I measure up, where I don't, my weaknesses. Had a good chat with the coaches. Had some experiences where I saw some things that we probably wouldn't have picked up on just over phone calls. And personally, at the end of my visit, I was ready to commit. I was like, "Pops, I want to go here." And my dad's like, "No, I still have to go to Syracuse. You don't get to give a decision until after Syracuse. You have to wait like a day or two, and then you can make your final decision."
And I love your parents. I don't know, like,
oh yeah, I was blessed.
No doubt.
They were tough at times, but I was blessed.
Sure.
Then we went to Syracuse University. I had a really good relationship with the coaches there. Coach Q, Matt Luneau, Coach KB, Coach Mayer at the time, eventually Coach Kelly, Coach Moody, all of them. So when I went, I liked the university. I was still stuck on Illinois. I really want to go there, but they had the education program that I wanted. There was opportunities for me to play. I gelled really well with the girls on the team, and I had a really good relationship with the coaches, and I felt like I could trust them, and like my parents had a good relationship with them. So at the end of the day, I ended up going to Syracuse, and I don't regret my decision. I'm very thankful. So that's how I ended up with Syracuse. One thing looking back that I would say though is At Syracuse, they play a lot of like 2-3 zone, which is fine. But if you want to play, so for me as a big girl, like my job was to stay in the paint, protect the basket, protect home court, essentially.
Yeah.
But I noticed like playing at the pro level, we don't play a lot of zone. You play more like man to man. People get out and hedge to ice, do traps. So I felt like there was a little bit of a learning curve going from college to the pros in that aspect. I got some of that experience through Canada basketball because they played more man to man. But that would be one thing I would tell future girls, like, okay, if you're going somewhere, what's your end goal? Like, because at the time I wasn't thinking pro. I was just thinking, I got college education. Like, I'm happy. But these are the things I would encourage girls to think through long term. Like, is your goal just to play at college? Would you like to play pro at the next level? These are the things you need to consider going forward. So,
and also when you do force baseline in that pro game, the help might not be there, right?
That part too.
But I also, like we talked sort of earlier, how cool, like you're still young, but since you've been playing, the idea of becoming pro is huge, right? It's grown so much. And I think that's fantastic, that the consideration. And it sounds like you maybe are just someone who their whole life is going to have a little bit of self-doubt just to keep themselves motivated. You know, maybe that's just part of who you are. Like, I never see myself as a pro, but I think cool that more women and men, that it's not just pro in North America. There's so many options for us to play overseas, which is super cool. I think that's great. Good advice.
Another thing I'll add to that too, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see it much. Like, I watched a couple, like a few here and there, like WNBA with my dad, but like, you don't really hear much about like the overseas, I guess, unless you like search for it or like your family's really into it, which our family just wasn't. Like, you don't know about like the opportunities to play overseas and to make like a lot of money or to have like a good life experience. So I think it's changed now with social media. Like, you can see it more. You're learning more about like, okay, there's Euro League and people are killing it here. There's Euro Cup. You can go to different leagues and play and have like a wonderful lifestyle. I think if I was exposed to that more, then maybe perhaps that would have changed. But because I was exposed to it, I wasn't thinking like, oh, play pro in the future. So, I think maybe if I had been exposed to it, if I knew more about it, then perhaps maybe I would have been like, okay, I want to play pro after. So what do I have to do to get to, or I believe that I could do it. So also I wasn't thinking pro until I think it was the summer going into my senior year. My dad called me all excited and I was like, did you win the lottery? And he's like, your name is on the mock draft list. You're the last name on there, but you're on there. And then throughout the year, that was like motivation for me. I was like, well, this is something I can actually pursue. Let's see where we can take it. And my name slowly went up the list and then eventually got drafted. But I wasn't exposed to it as much. So I think in a way, thanks to social media and the way like the world is becoming like borderless in a sense, like you can get access to things now. I think that's changing and showing young girls like the possibilities.
Such a good way to frame it. Yeah. And it is one of the powers of it, right? Because it makes people feel like it's more tangible. Even your favorite athletes growing up is like, I only know these people from seeing them play and maybe the odd interview, whereas like if they choose to put themselves out there on a platform, you can get to know family, friends, whatever they're doing, you know, their favorite Starbucks order, whatever it is, right? It just makes it even more tangible and connected. Good point. Oh.
That actually reminds me, I need to confirm. I think her name was Deanna Nolan. I think they used to call her Tweety Bird. When she played at the W, I remember watching her a couple times and like I got to the league, she wasn't there. I was like, oh, I guess maybe she's retired. It wasn't until I played in Russia where I was seeing her still like getting buckets on people. And I was like, oh, she's still playing. She's just playing overseas. So that like just blew my mind. I was like, oh, she's still playing. There's a whole world of people playing professional sports and still getting buckets. And so that kind of blew my mind. That was like I used to watch you on TV when I was a kid and now I'm playing against you moment for me, which was really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. And we'll get into that for sure. So the Syracuse time, take us through, you know, the 4 years as much as you can without fast forwarding anything that you think is important, but sort of you step on campus and you start those practices. Was there a big jump for you? Did you feel it? Was it just more kind of the time of it, you know, lifts, you know, class, practice? What were some of the differences between being probably a pretty dominant high school player and stepping on to a high-level Division I basketball?
So as far as the workload of like the practices, getting in the weight room, I would say I was pretty prepared and only thankfully, because of Basketball Canada. They did, before rep schools were a thing, they created this program called NETA, the National Elite Development Academy, where they took 12 girls from all over Canada. We lived with host families in Hamilton. We'd go to school in the morning for like 3 classes. At lunchtime, we'd eat, then we'd go to McMaster University and train. And we would train there. We'd do running I remember running the football field. We would train, do weightlifting. And then for our games, we would play against high school boys and JUCO colleges. So we were playing against people who were like top notch. Well, better than us, or like more athletic, just to challenge us. And we were doing our thing against them. So just because of that schedule, like getting in the habit of that and having to like, okay, be on top of your schoolwork, making sure like you're going to your training, getting your lifts in. When I went to college, I was like, oh, I've been doing this. So this isn't much of a surprise to me. So I'm very thankful to NETA for that.
Nice. Good shout out.
Yeah.
Like, forgot about that program. Yeah, that's
right?
good. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
That program really prepared me for when I got to university. But that being said, like still when you're playing against like university girls, like the game's faster as well. They're stronger than you. So there was definitely some challenges, but I felt like I held my own and I was like progressing, and I was able to earn myself some time to get on the court and play and produce for my team. So yeah, I think I was fortunate. Every year I averaged double digits. I think I averaged like 10, 14, 14, and then 17 my senior year. So not terrible. But yeah, I had coaches who believed in me and challenged me and allowed me the opportunities to earn. That's the other thing too I appreciated. Like the coaches never promised me anything. They weren't going to say, oh yeah, if you sign here, we'll make sure you're starting and you're going to get playing time. I had to earn everything, or everybody had to always earn your time on the court, which I appreciated as well too.
Yeah, and your reflection on picking the schools, that's just another and one there, because I thought all the things you touched on were great. And I'm sure you heard many people say, oh, well, 30 minutes a game and we'll give you the best dorm room and blah, blah, right? And yeah, sounds like mom wasn't having it either way. So
you got to earn that in practice. You got to earn that through making your times, the running in preseason, making sure your grades are up, and then how you produce in practices is going to determine whether you played or not. So.
Are there any games that stick out? Like when you think of your time at Syracuse, is there a couple games with like a crazy finish or good crowd or game on the road that stick out to you?
Yep. Home game. I think it was my freshman year against Georgetown. I think we lost by 2 or by 1. And I remember I played against her a couple times in the league. We called her name was Sugar, I believe. Is it Sugar Rogers? She played for Georgetown, and I remember her shot at the end. Like I grazed it, but it went in, and I just felt like I let the team down because they won. I don't know why, but that's like a vivid memory that I have. We're playing in Syracuse as well too. What are other vivid? A lot of my vivid memories are like losses, which is kind of sad. And then another one was a fun one, though, a good memory. Playing with Brittany Sykes when she hit her half-court shot to beat, it was St. John in St. John. I'll never forget that. I was like, that was a wild moment, a fun moment. When we finally qualified, it took until my senior year, but we finally qualified for the March Madness to go to the NCAA tournament. That was a great experience, a good moment. Yeah, sadly, right now when I'm thinking about like big games, I'm thinking about games that we lost that were like disappointments to me. I don't know why, but those are the ones that are coming to mind. And then also like playing the big games, like playing against the Connecticut's and being like, wow, like these girls are really good, and the Notre Dames and the Louisvilles. And I played in the old school Big East. Well, I call it the old school Big East. I think that was
yeah. Say less. Yeah, I got you.
I'm biased, but I think Big East was tough. Like we had top teams. You didn't have any days off in the Big East. You were going to battle. But all those games I thought helped make you a better player and challenged you and helped your team to improve. So
nice. I'm looking her up. She's Sugar Rogers, all-time leading scorer for Georgetown.
Yeah.
It looks like she had a pretty solid WNBA career.
Yeah.
Coached in the WNBA and now is at William and Mary coaching. So seemed like a bit of a hooper.
Oh no, she was. Even back then, she could shoot that ball.
Yeah. Talk about those last couple of years. When did you, what's your, I mean, obviously, and sometimes it's unfair. Maybe I'm wrong in assuming this. One of the better talented players usually step into some form of a leadership role. When did you see yourself as kind of a leader, and what was your style? Are you like a intense on the floor yeller? Are you a one-on-one? Is it just I go about my business and hope people can see the work I'm putting in? Talk about that and the example that you set out there on the court, because I'm sure by your senior year, you're maybe you did have the title or not, but like definitely the girls are looking at you for that, for sure.
I'll be the first to tell you I'm not the most vocal person.
Yeah.
It's never my trait. I'm not going to be like, I'll say something if I need to, but I'm not the loudest, most vocal, always saying something. I like to lead by example. I like to take care of my business.
And then if you did, they're like, damn, we better. Yeah. She's on one today.
Yeah. Usually I'm the kind of person who just tries to go in, do her job and lead by example. Like, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do my best to do the right thing and be an example that you can follow. That's my personal leadership style. As far as on the court, I'm going to be honest too. I don't know, just who I am. I take after my pops, perhaps. I'm not the most like, like most like passionate. Like I'll get hyped for my teammates. Like if I make a great move, I really get hyped. And that's like pissed off. And then I might show a little emotion, but I'm just like, okay, did my job, done my 2 foul shots, whatever. That's just me personally. So no. I joke like maybe I'm not the most exciting person to watch because I'm not doing fancy things. I miss fundamentals. I'm making layups, doing hook shots, trying to block shots. But I try to do my job and do what I need to do to help the team be successful. So might not be the most exciting player, but
21-15 in the last game, ladies and gentlemen. 21-15. So that who cares about the excitement? Just get it done. Yeah.
Good. So I get hyped with teammates. Like I'll always hype up my teammates. When they get ones, you'll see me get excited, like chest bump and all that stuff. So I get excited for others and hype them up.
Yeah. Teach a leadership class here and always trying to tell the kids, especially, 16, 17 years old. I think they think that, the most popular, the most extroverted, best looking kid is like the leader, right? And it's like, we've had a couple principals here that are highly introverted and are still, and so I think it's knowing that you find your skill set and just, it seems to me like if I was your teammate, I would look at you as just a hard worker, always about her business, going to get it done and someone can rely on. And if there is a day where Kayla says something in practice, we're like, damn, we better get ourselves together because even she's speaking up now, right? And I think, you're almost downplaying it or saying like, I'm not the most exciting, but we also have to understand in basketball, like there's roles, right? Not everyone wants to be the rebounder shot blocker, but you've taken that and you can obviously score too, but you've taken that and excelled at that because you've embraced it as opposed to, I'm going to be a one-on-one or I need 30 a game to do this thing. I mean, you got your numbers, but as what I'm saying kind of makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
If anything, I feel like I'm going to be that teammate that's always going to try and encourage you. Like if you're having a down moment, I'm going to try and bring you up. Like I'm good one-on-one. Like you got this, you're good. Like if you're not having a good keep shooting that ball. Like we'll get we need you to shoot. Like I'll try to be like that person. I just try to tell them what I would want to hear. Like if I'm having like a rough moment or if I'm down or whatever. So I just always try to like encourage as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, even like look at your brother, for example, right? I mean, that's a guy who's willing to accept the role and try to excel in that role. And he may see himself at times in something different, but it's like, this is what it is. And I'm going to be the best in that I can be. Right. And yeah, no, I think that's great. Okay. Let's get to your senior year. You said to your pops finds you on the depth chart. You're last on there, but then that's a little bit of internal motivation for you. And you find yourself climbing quite high towards the end of that year. Was it a surprise where you got picked? Talk about that whole process, becoming a WNBA player and all that stuff.
So I'll go back that summer when he called me. It made me realize like this is like an actual possibility. So let's try and work towards this. I think that was like first time, like I actually like wrote out like my goals and like put it on the wall so I could see it every day. So I was like, I want to accomplish this. And I wrote down my scoring percentage, what I wanted to like shoot for that year, the personal goals I had for myself, academically, athletically, socially, things like that. The end goal, which was to get drafted, and then I told my coaches, I was like, this is my goal. And then if I wasn't producing up to par, if I was having a bad game. I remember one game I had, Coach Q, like, he was like, Kayla, are you trying to get drafted right now? Because I wasn't doing something. And I was like, oh, thank you. And like got my ish together. But yeah, I just remember that year I was really focused on like trying to accomplish this goal. I knew what I wanted to accomplish and go after. And then after the NCAA tournament where we had our sadly early exit, I had my coach got me in contact with the agent, and different coaches from the WNBA called me. We had a couple of conversations just to get to know me, their interest level in me. And then eventually, when the draft came, I wasn't invited, which was fine. I was on campus, which I think I would have preferred anyways. I got to go to my classes, take care of my business. And then I think it was a Monday because that day I had, it was either a Monday or Wednesday, because I had women's Bible study. So I remember in Bible study, we end in prayer. And then when we finished praying, like my phone's going crazy. And the first person to get through to me was my teammate, still a friend to this day, Felicia. Just like, girl, you just got drafted. And I was like, really? And then the next person to get through on my phone was Coach KB, Cornell Battle. And he called me and was like, yeah, congratulations. And then he was on the phone with my parents because they were in Canada and they didn't have access to watch it. So he had his phone on speakerphone so that they can listen to the draft taking place. So it was like an experience we all got to keep together. And then I found out this year, actually, because I went to his wedding this year. And the full story is KB was actually at what was his role? He was another person who worked at the university at the time. I think he was part of our like media relations. He was at their house, and I had a really good relationship with that as well too. But that was part of the story I never knew. So like all of them were part of that, which I thought was pretty cool. So I found that out like years later. But yeah, so there's that, and then yeah, I left school a little early to go to training camp. So I talked to all my professors, got things done early. And then went to training camp and went to work in the W for a bit.
And how was that?
That was another learning curve.
Now, when you go, does the team help you get settled in? Is it like, did they find you a place? Did they at least take care of a few things for you so you can focus on hoop or?
Yeah. So I got drafted to San Antonio. So the manager reached out, told me like, created my flight, asked for all my sizes for my jersey and everything, practice gear, all that good stuff. They pick you up from the airport. They bring you to your apartment. You get provided with a car. At the time, I didn't have my license, so I would.
Oh, you're one of those, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, because I started in high school. I had my G2, but I never finished my license. And then I went to the States, and then
didn't need it.
My car. I could walk around campus to take the bus. So eventually, my second year, I ended up getting my license, but in the States. But yeah, so they had a car that me and the other rookie would share. They take you to your testing, and then me and the other rookie, we were in the same apartment complex, so we would make sure, drive to practice together, all that good stuff. But yeah, they help you get settled in. And then on the court, I just remember it being like challenges and battles every day in practice. The other big, which was another full circle moment, because when I think it was my senior year, or maybe a couple of years, or my junior year, my coach, KB again, he had me watch video of Jane Appel because she played at Stanford, and he was like, watch how she runs the floor and seals underneath the basket. Like, I needed to do this. So he had me watch lots of game film on her doing that. Then I get to the WNBA, and she is my teammate who I have to battle against every day in practice. And she is strong as can be. And she's my height. So those were it was good battles. She helped make me a better player. And then I remember playing with Sophia Malcolm. That's her name now. Sophia. What was her name before? Sophia. I'm forgetting. She played at Baylor. Really great player. Played with Becky Hammond for a year. She was injured, I believe, the year before. So she was like a player coach. Gia Perkins. I'm naming people now who people are like, who are like, I've shows how like this was a while ago. But yeah, I had some really talented.
Sophia Young Malcolm.
Thank you, Sophia Young. Yeah,
I got you. I got you.
Malcolm's her married name. Daniela Adams. Like I was being challenged in practice every single day, and then I had to go out and play every day when I got the opportunities. When I got the opportunities to get on the floor for a bit, got to play against Tina Thompson. Got to play against Sylvia Fowles, who I just admire so much, and just was in awe playing against her because of just.
Okay, can we talk about Tina Thompson?
Yeah,
that's a beast right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how'd it go?
She can shoot that ball. She was like solid and like tall, but she could also shoot it too. And like it was.
So you felt that, hey, like probably at times at Q's and out there is kind of like you're not in a bad way, but just sort of like probably dominating sometimes, right? And then it's like, all right, everyone is just like me, if not better in some ways, because they're veterans and they've had the experience. Like,
and
tough.
I felt yes, oh my goodness, yes, it's a challenge. Like I felt like basketball. I know what kept me off the court for a lot of it at the beginning of the year, or the beginning of my couple of years, was just like that. One, the speed of the game. Like I can run with you, no problem. It was the lateral stuff, like the quick reactions. Like getting that hedge quick before someone like slips and they got that easy layup, or like just the quick reactions. Like I was not on it. Defensively, like being able to call the trap, call the switch, call the hedge, whatever it is, the schemes. Like I can admit that I like was not at the level I need to be at for that. So one thing that the coaches told me was going overseas will help you, because I went to Russia and I was playing pretty much against teams full of WNBA players again. So that helped me get to that level of like, okay, getting used to, and I was getting playing time because like you're on a team, the team that I played for, I was the only American. So they have expectations on you. So you're getting a lot of minutes, and going overseas definitely helped me. So every time I came back the next year, I was that much better and better and better. I was able to earn some more playing time. But yeah, it was definitely a learning curve. But looking back, I'm thankful for it, because now when I have teammates, I can talk about being the bench warmer, can barely get off the bench. And I can also talk about being able to get back on the bench, like, because you're getting a lot of minutes. Like I've experienced it all. So I can relate to like different teammates at different parts of where they are in their journey, and like just try and encourage them where they're at. And
do you find yourself with Team Canada just naturally morphing into that role? You're young to me, but in your years with hoops and Team Canada, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Like you look at the roster that you were just hooping with and you're like, wow. All right. So do you notice that? And we had Sila on the podcast actually, right? And she, in her little jokingly way, she talked. Hey,
we call it silent assassin because
she talked about like team meal, and the girls are all sitting around talking about mortgages or like pensions, and I'm like, what's happening on TikTok, right? So now, do you feel that role? You're stepping into that role a little bit, and like, do you find yourself maybe when you see a younger teammate on Team Canada come off and they're frustrated, are you the person who goes over, or do you let it be, or do you let that conversation happen organically? Or do they come to you for it?
Organically, usually. Like if they're sitting beside me, okay, I might give you like a little pound, like you're doing okay, you're fine, or like you got this. Have those conversations maybe off the court afterwards, like a later time. But I don't like to try to force anything. I like to let it happen organically, like, or if they come to me for advice, I'll happily give it. But I don't try to force it, because you have to be in the right. There's times where you're like in the heat of the moment, you still want to hear something,
for
or like
sure,
you're not in the right mind frame to hear it, and like once you take a step back, you're like, okay. So, but in that moment, I usually just try to be encouragement, like, next play, you got this. Take that shot. Like, we need you. Build them up.
Yep. So being the oldest in that group, what was the biggest thing they noticed? What's the biggest difference that you noticed that, and don't be worked up about it. It's just natural. I mean, take it as an honor. You're out there hooping, right? Like
it is, but still shocked. I think I was like,
because you feel like it's happened fast, right? Like you still think you're like in grade 9 and, getting your letter from Stanford. It's like, nope, you're the oldest on Team Canada right now. Yeah.
It happened so quick. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, when did this happen? But like I think I was 14 years older than some of my teammates. And I was like, "Whoa, Kayla." Um, and, and then the funny part that I'll take as a compliment, like when my teammates find out, like they're like, "Oh, you don't play like you're like 32." I was like,
Oh,
"Yeah."
no, they hit you with that.
Like, you're still running the floor court. I was like, "I would hope so." So thank you. Um,
Oh no, they're hitting you with that. That's
yeah, I'm the old head now.
yeah.
What was the original question though? Sorry.
I don't even remember. I'm dying. Oh, yeah, what's the biggest difference that you notice, or like, is it
Yes.
the conversations they're having, like how they act? Like, what is it? Is it you're the first to go to bed? Like, what's kind of the thing that makes you go, wow,
That
yeah,
also, like the big thing too, when you're young, like you just run up and down like you're good to go, like you're warm. I need a proper warm up. Like I'm doing the
yeah,
warm up before we warm up.
yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah,
how
yeah,
much you want to go to the gym, put their shoes on to start shooting. I'm like, let me get my bands out, let me do my activations first, let me get warm and ready
yeah.
for warm up, and then so I can like play. So like that's a big difference that I've noticed. Um, Also, yeah, just like treatment. Like we're always, I feel like after practices, like who wants treatment? It's always the older kids, like the older ones. Like, "Oh, sign me up for that treatment, please."
Yeah,
Getting in like a schedule of like, yeah, I'm going to bed early, or like I'll be the first to admit I can't hang. Like I'm not trying to be out late. Like let
yeah,
me be in my bed. So
yep,
just those things, but
for sure.
it's still.
I listen to a bunch of different sports podcasts, and can't tell you how many people who talk about kind of when they knew it was time or whatever, that they mentioned sort of, I just couldn't do the daily, like if I could just step out there and play the game, no problem, but just the day in and day out of activating, and then I just knew it was just too much, right? And people that are much older than you, I'm not saying your career's at the end, I'm just saying like that reflection of trying to get your body working. And then it's so hard to convince 17-year-olds that this is going to be their reality, right? Like
It's
we'll
like
do
just
yoga.
do me.
Yeah. Like we'll do
I
yoga
don't
in
believe
PE
it.
class. Yeah. And I'm like out stretching, like I'm doing better than they are. And I'm like, I'm 46. What's happening? But they take it for granted. And I think we all did. Right. So oh, that's good stuff. I'm
Like I
howling.
can still go. Like I can still
Yeah.
perform. Just give me some time to warm up. Give me like
Yeah.
a warm up, and I'm good for you. And I
Yeah.
noticed like for us older ones, like we want to keep going. Like we'll take a
Yeah.
30-second water break, and let me keep going. Let me stay warm. So
So lovely. Yeah. That 3 minutes sitting on the chair is like, no, I'm done for the day. Yeah. I love it. Before we do some fun questions and get you on your way, let's talk about Team Canada. You mentioned you said it took me a while. When did you first crack the roster, and sort of talk about what it means to, you already did a little bit, but sort of represent your country and your family, and be able to do that on the other side of the ball. Yeah.
yes, okay. So my journey took. I had a little bit of a journey to get to the national team. So I want to encourage anybody listening. Like if you have a
Hmm.
goal or dream, like you might not get it the first or second time, but keep at it. Like it'll happen.
Ace
Especially if
is pretty similar in that.
Mhm.
Ace kind
Oh,
of,
you
yeah,
too?
yeah. She was on, yeah. It took her time to get, finally crack that roster. And it was probably some frustrating times too. So yeah, very good point. Like if it's something you want, keep pushing. Yeah. Let's get more into that. Yeah.
Or the first time I tried out, didn't make it, which at the time I understood. I think I still had some confidence, things I need to work on, just understanding the game better. So things I needed to work on. Second time I went back, I felt like I had more playing experience. I've been playing pro for a few years now, and I felt like a stronger player, and I just didn't make the cut. Now, that one really hurt, and I'll be a little honest. I was like, okay, I'm kind of done right now with Canada basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I'll stick to the W and playing overseas because that's working for me. But
Mm-hmm.
there's that thing, like when you're passionate about something, like it's hard to let it go. So eventually I came back and I was able to finally pack the roster, make the team. Um, as far as playing time, that was something I had to was trying to get, wasn't getting a lot of it, but just thankful to have finally made it here and like to be learning in this environment, playing against some of the best and learning from them. And then eventually got an opportunity where I was able to be perform for a team, be someone that the coaches could rely on, and just help us get to where we want to go. So I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, it's a journey, and it's full of ups and downs from not being able to crack the roster to finally cracking the roster, warming the bench to eventually like it's a journey. So, but I'm thankful for it, and I don't take it for granted either because when I finally did crack the roster, when I finally cracked the roster, that was the year we were going to Tenerife for the World Cup. The World Cup. And in our second exhibition game, because we were playing 2 exhibition games in Connecticut before we were flying out, I got injured against USA. So even though I had finally cracked the roster, God was like, nope, not your time. And I did go to the team and I had to like rehab during that time. So that was frustrating and disappointing. But God gave me something beautiful out of that. I got to go be part of like the NBA Canada series. I got to interact with young girls, which is something that just like fuels me. Got to do a lot of different like what would I call it? Like just events that I got to do like a Q&A, got to go to a school and talk with the kids, and I love that stuff. So it was a blessing in disguise. But yeah, as far as wearing the Canadian jersey, wearing the maple leaf on my chest, that's something that I will never take for granted because I know how hard it took to get to this point. I know how quickly it can be taken away. And I know what an honor it is to be able to wear that and represent your country, doing something that you absolutely love at the highest level. So that's something I spend that court, whether it's in practices or for games, I just try to enjoy it. And I think now as I get older, just trying to enjoy every moment because like there's not going to be too many more of these left. And enjoying and taking these memories with like my teammates, the coaching staff, and doing everything that I can to help the team be successful and get us to that next stage. Because at the end of the day, I believe our ultimate goal is the Olympics and then to get on that podium. So.
What can we say about the people at Parkside, especially our guy, Sam Payne? A huge supporter of basketball in our community. The gentleman does many things behind the scenes that people don't know about. And one of those is supporting our podcast from literally day one. Sam reached out to us and said, hey, I like what you're doing. How do we get involved? And what you can do is find them at any local government store or come down to the brewery, sit on the patio, sit in the back, listen to the music, come for music trivia night, whatever it is. The wide variety of beer that they offer is second to none. And Port Moody and the Brewers Row is a great place to be. We are so appreciative of Parkside Brewery, we can't even say it in enough words. Head down, we hope to see you Parkside, and if you can't, find a way to support because they do a lot for us. Cheers. That's good reflection too, and I think it's the same in just in general, like work. Like, you know, when you start for Team Canada or basketball, it's a pro thing and it's exciting, and you go on these road trips, and then you're kind of in the middle, and it's like this bus ride or whatever. And then as you become older, you're more reflective, and you realize just that those moments will be less. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this flight to Miami, and then I'm going to enjoy my time in Miami. I'm going to be grateful for all this, and it's hard to kind of have that the whole way, you know? And I think you're giving some really good reflection there. That's awesome. Let's touch on the magic of basketball before we do the fun. I really wanted to get into that. I don't want to lose that in my brain. You probably would, but let's give it the plug and let's talk about all that. I think it's very cool, the stuff that I've seen. And I think it says a lot about you just sort of being a well-rounded human who's got other interests and things in her life. You talked about being in art with your teacher when you're young and having different ways to sort of share your experience. So talk about that.
Cool. So the magic of basketball started out as my children's book that I co-wrote with my sister. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big journaler. And as I was just reflecting on my journey with the game of ball, I realized like, wow, this orange bouncy ball has given me so much, whether it's taught me life skills or life lessons that I've carried throughout my life, both on and off the court, the travel it's allowed me, the free education it's afforded me, the opportunity to make a career out of this game and provide for myself and for my family. Like that has been incredible. And I just want to find a way to take all my learnings, take my love of this game, my love for kids, especially I'm big on women empowerment and like building
Yeah,
up young
beautiful.
girls, and my love of art and drawing. So then the idea came, Kayla, write a children's book. So I took all the notes from my journals, did different drafts, and finally got to a draft version that I liked. Got my sister to read it because she is, in my opinion, like the smartest people I know. I love the way her brain works. I think she's just really talented and she can do anything she wants. And she's just super talented when it comes to words. Like she and my father have a way with words that I will never have. And I so I read or showed her my like draft and it was I had like the first two lines rhyme and then the next two didn't. And I had that like a reoccurring theme. And then she was like, Kayla, this is stupid. Like, if you're going to do it, make the whole thing rhyme. And I was like, well, then help me because I am not talented. So I kind of forced her to help me. But it was a fun, I really enjoyed that whole experience of like writing the book together, coming up with ideas, coming up with words, or trying to find words that rhymed, or what's the next lesson? Like, how do we make this like a flowing book? We eventually got it to a point that we loved. And then I remember at the time, it took me about 6 months because I was doing the illustrations while I was playing professionally in Australia. And then when I came back, we got the illustrations, laid it all out. We decided to self-publish through KDP, which is part of Amazon. And we eventually got our book, The Magic of Basketball. And it's just something that it's like my baby, something I'm really proud of and thankful that.
How cool is that?
Right? Something that I was able to create with my sister. And it's so cool to see something that you've been had in your head, because this is an idea I had in my mind for like years. Like I have this idea, I want to do this one day. And I was like, Kayla, stop talking about it, just do it. Just,
Yeah.
I think it was like the fair, but I was like, just do it, Kayla. Like, you're not going to know unless you try. But to have something like physical and then to get pictures of people being like, yeah, we got your book, or my sister, or my daughters love your book, or my cousins, like to me, that like just warms my heart. And then in the book at the back, because I'm really big on this, we have like journaling pages. One to write out your dreams, like write out all your dreams that you have for your life, and then goals, like how you're going to accomplish those dreams. So I think it's important for young kids to start that early. And then, yeah, I just like the lessons in the book, even though it's geared towards young kids because it's a picture book. I think the lessons are for people whether you're 3 years old all the way to like 80 years old. It's something that can apply to everybody. And then that eventually morphed. I have a manager. Her name's Kelly Giannopoulos, and she has incredible experience when it comes to like the sports world. We're both very passionate about the next generation, young girls. So through my children's book, we developed like a organization program, I guess, brand called The Magic of Basketball. And there's different layers to it. So one layer of it is my girls' exposure camp. So we did that the first year and it was great. And then the second year, I was able to partner with Nav Bhatia, who I just think is an incredible human being. He is someone that I really admire and hope to aspire to be one day. Just the way he is, how much he gives back to the community. He's just all about positivity and inclusivity and just love what he represents. So I was very thankful that we were able to partner with him, put on like a day camp for just girls. And because of who I am, educator and me, it's never just basketball. There's always like a level to it. So I had like a class session where I was able to bring out the first year I brought out Miranda Aim, my former teammate with Team Canada, 3-time Olympian, I believe, and just incredible human being to talk with the girls. This year I did more of a Q&A session / panel discussion where I brought out Sammy Hill from Canada Basketball as well, Savannah Hamilton, who works with the Raptors, my friend Nicole Murphy, who we co-founded Tall Size together, a clothing, a marketplace for tall women to shop and find and sell clothes designed for their tall bodies, because shopping as a tall woman is impossible.
Yeah, no.
I brought them all because they all play basketball at different levels. They all use basketball to get them to where they are today, and the skills and the lessons that basketball taught them allowed them to be successful women and leaders in their respective. So I thought that was important for these young girls to see, like, basketball is incredible. Like, take advantage of it now, whether you play for fun, whether you want to get a college degree, whether you want to play pro, like, you don't have this different avenues that this sport can take you if you take advantage of it. So
for sure.
Yes. And then the most recent thing that we did with the Magic of Basketball was after we qualified for the Olympic qualifiers taking place in February. BC was still in Toronto. So we had it was called Next Gen. I'm blanking on the name of the event, but basically we had Bridget Carlton. We had about maybe 15 of our campers or so. It was like a intimate. It was at Make Way, and she did a Q&A with Savannah Hamilton again, just talked about her journey, the game of basketball. The young girls got to do a Q&A with her. And then afterwards, Canada Basketball, they have this Mad Love initiative where they do a workshop with young girls just about like, what is your mad love about yourself, about the game of basketball? And it really is just to focus on like inner girls, like confidence, and just like encouraging them and empowering them. So it was an incredible event. But yeah, all that to say, anything that has to do with like young girls, the basketball, empowering the next generation, I will always be here for.
So I'm going to do a Simon Sinek on you. Do you know Simon Sinek, the writer? Okay. He's just like leadership.
Okay.
Him and Brene Brown. I'm a huge Brene Brown fan as well. I don't know if you know Brene Brown. She's also big in leadership. Oh, check it out. Yeah. If you're talking about like, she studies like vulnerability and shame. She's amazing. But he has a book called Start With Why. So give me the why. Why the empowerment of women, other than the obvious reason behind it is because it'll make for a better world. But is it something, that you always had a dream of? Do you see yourself as a pay it forward? So give me the why behind it all.
I think just as you get older, like as you reflect more, you think of the ways you want to give back to the world, I guess, in a sense, or your community. And people always poured into me. I had great coaches. I had people, heck, even just going when I needed, as a pro player, when I was back in Milton, just needing a place to train. Like my old high school would open the doors for me before school so I can get my shots up before school started. So just
little things, right?
Yeah, like that meant a lot to me. So just trying to find ways to just pay it forward and pay it back. And I'm sorry, the guys get everything. The guys always have opportunities.
No, say it. It's louder for the people in the back. Go. Yeah.
The guys get everything.
Let's not even fool ourselves. Y'all have been kicking ass well before our guys. Like the guys made it. The guys made it, and I lost my mind because it's been so damn long. The women have been here. The women have been doing it. Like, let's not get it twisted.
This is a little pet peeve I still have. I'm trying to work on it.
Yeah,
like the World Cup, for instance. Like
safe place.
Last year, the guys played theirs this year. We had 8 games in 10 days. How's that for anybody's?
That's not right.
Like, I'm just people explain it. Like, how's that good for anybody's body recovery wise to give you a good product on the floor? But
so you think they're just trying to save money and get it over with?
I'd like to know because the guys played every other day, and I was like, that's a lovely schedule. But anyways, Kayla, let it go. Moving forward.
No, those are good points for you to make. I think it's needs to be said, right? I don't think it comes from you want the game to grow and be better. That's all. Your intent is not to take away from what the men have, but let's keep building on our side because the product is there and we deserve the same. You're not saying anything that's inappropriate. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I want to give women opportunities, young girls opportunities, and that's my why. Next.
Good. All right. Well, we'll round up like 200 women in our gym. We'll get hoopers from all over BC to come, and you can come speak to them 1 year. Sound good?
Love that. And then we can get on the court and have some fun.
Yeah, we got you. All right. Okay, awesome. This has been so great. What an insightful person. And let's do some fun questions, and then you can sort of get the blanket and watch some Netflix, and I'll go teach the youth of our future something. Sound good?
I'll be doing call size stuff, but it sounds good.
Okay. You're on the road, you're either or home, doesn't matter. You're in Europe, any part of the world, you're feeling a little munchy. What bag of chips are you grabbing? Is there one out there?
If I'm being honest, I'm a chocolate girl. Like, I give me chocolate or give me chocolate chip cookies. I'm the cookie monster. I run so I can work it off.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is there certain chocolate, or is it just like milk chocolate or dark chocolate, like some
milk
almonds?
Chocolate.
Milk chocolate?
Don't put nuts in it. If you're going to put anything in it, caramel, but milk chocolate is great. And if not, just give me a good, chewy chocolate chip cookie. I'll even do like an M&M cookie, but just give me like a good cookie and I'll be happy. If I have to do chips though, plantain chips, because that's Jamaican part of me. So.
You done know. Love it. Okay. Dead or alive. The artist can be dead or alive. You got the best seat in the house. You can take whoever you want. Which artist are you going to go see? Or are there a couple that you might want to go see?
Yeah. So first one on the list is alive, Beyonce. I would love to see her in concert because
So haven't seen her yet. Haven't seen the Queen. Okay.
anybody
Because
who wants to take me to Beyonce concert, I'd love to see her.
that must be the hard part too. Hey, when you're like traveling or you're over in France and you see like a show and you're like, man, right? Like,
Yeah,
because apparently when she was here, she killed it, like 14 wardrobes and just, yeah. Okay.
I was looking at it too because I was looking online. Like I was like,
Yeah.
I'll go to Europe while I'm here. I'll just stay in Europe and go see her. But
Yeah.
sold out, expensive. I'm just
That's the
like,
thing too. They get sold out in 12 seconds and then I can't afford quadruple the price for a ticket. Come on.
honestly,
Someone
lying.
get Kayla to see the Queen. Who's out there? There's someone's out. Someone's got a link. Come on. The power of a podcast. Let's go.
On this alive as well too. I would love to see Coldplay. I like their music too. I think they have great music. So, and then Dead, who I wish I could have seen, Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson. Sorry, because I just feel like two legends, like absolute legends. One's a legendary performer, one has a legendary voice. So
Imagine Whitney in like a really good like auditorium with just great sound. Like, oh, it would be chills. Love it. MJ low key is becoming probably one of the most popular like choices for people on the show, just because he runs the whole thing, right? It's the songs, it's the dancing, he's got it all, right? Yeah, not wrong. Love it.
And you can still bump to music today. Like Thriller is still like a big time song. Like there's so many, yeah. Anyways.
For sure. You've touched on many, many important people in your life, and I know that you're a woman of deep faith as well. So, who have been some of the most important people in your life outside of anyone? I mean, you've mentioned mentors, your family, you mentioned God. There's so many people. Is there anyone you've missed, or do you want to retouch on?
Ooh, it's such a long list. I mean, so God,
you've done a really good job of along the way. I think some people on the show, they had their story and then at the end they're like, oh God, I got to remember all these people. But you've done a good job of those. And I think because life's like chapters, it's like our journeys, there's little chapters, and you've done a good way of summarizing who those people are. So yeah, sorry, I cut you off there. You keep going. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think at the top will always be like God, Jesus, like that's number one for me. And then right under is my family, like my parents, my siblings, they always supported me and helped me and guided me throughout the way. My friends too, because they were also my support system and the ones who hung with me when I missed birthday parties and weddings and like still like understood like what I was trying to accomplish. And they're still my friends to this day. Appreciate them. Once you get it. And then some notable ones I want to shout out. Miss Betsy. So when I got drafted to the WNBA, she was the chaplain for our team in San Antonio. And I call her my spiritual mama. And she just helped me with my spiritual growth and developing my faith throughout the years. Also want to give a shout out to the Johnson family as well, specifically Travis Johnson, because he also helped me grow in my faith when I was in San Antonio. And just, I think that's where my faith really grew, went to like a next level, like of understanding, like it's more than just reading the Bible. Like it's actually about like that relationship that you have with Christ. So that was really important for me. In Syracuse University at FCA, Nathan Bliss, he was really helpful with me as well. Cause I don't know there's just I struggled a lot with identity, like understanding like who I am with basketball, like I had to learn to separate myself from Kayla the basketball player. Because if I'm Kayla the basketball player, when I play well, I'm up here. And when I play not so great, doing well, it's like a roller coaster that I was not enjoying. So I had to learn that my identity is in Christ. That's who my center forward is. And after that, basketball is something that I do. It's not who I am. So I had to learn that. It took a while to learn that. So I'm thankful that I learned that. So Nathan Bliss from FCA. And then just all my coaches throughout the years, teachers. Yeah, I don't have all the names right now, but
that's okay.
I think they all know who they are. And if I saw them, like they know I'm always eternally thankful and grateful to them because they played a role in my journey and helping me along the way.
Fantastic. Love it. Books or movies?
Ooh, that's tough. So, okay, I got Black
You can dabble in both. Give us a little both. Come on. You can tell by the facial expression right away in the pause. It's like, oh, okay.
When I have to like do my hair, for instance, it's like a wash, like day, it's going to be like 3 hours. I'd rather watch a movie because it's kind of hard to flip through a book and do your hair at the same time. So movie in that sense.
I can relate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do with the mustache?
Yeah.
But there's something about a good book, being able to just get lost in the pages, whether you need just a good escape and you want to read like a little rom-com, or if you want a page turner and you're reading something suspenseful, like what's going to happen next, or also a really good, like just a self-development book, whether it's like on habits or like confidence or whatever the case. Sometimes like when I'm traveling, I love a good book to read through the pages. So
There's levels to this lady.
yes.
Holy, well done. She's covering it all. Is there, I don't want to put you in a spot. Is there a book or a show or movie that just stands out to you when you just ask you that? Like, is there something? Are you like a go back and rewatch, or do you just like what's current and go with it?
No, I'll go back and rewatch.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's a rewatch for you? Come on.
Don't judge me for this.
Guilty.
But,
No judgment. No.
One that I used to rewatch a lot back in the day, especially when my Russia days, Jumping the Broom. I don't know. I just like that movie. It's just like I guess you could call it like a family movie. It's funny. Yeah, I like that movie. Don't judge me all you want, but Jumping the Broom was something that I can rewatch over and over again. And then
You're
book.
sitting there playing pro ball in Russia. I don't think anyone's here to judge what you're putting on the TV, because we know it's probably not, the local cable is probably not great. So
Oh, yeah, I did not. I don't think I ever turned on TV. There.
Yeah.
Just, it was like my books and my iPad and my laptop. As far as a book that like changed, like had me like convicted when I was reading it, it's called Crazy Love by, I see his face, I don't see his name. Maybe, yeah. It's called Crazy Love. It's a faith book. It really convicts you about like just about what like the Bible and what it really means to be like a follower of Jesus. And
Francis Chan.
Thank you. That's the one.
Got you. I'm here for you. Got
Yes.
you. Love it.
Very convicting. If you want to be convicted, yeah, read Crazy Love.
Okay. Very Canadian thing. How do you feel about ketchup on macaroni?
Okay, so first, one, no. Two, what kind of macaroni? Like we're talking about good baked macaroni.
We're talking like KD. Some,
no. No. Both in the trash. I'm sorry.
Okay, so no, don't apologize. So what if it is some good, nice macaroni? Is there like some hot sauce involved, or just enjoying the nice, warm, comfort food?
Yep, just enjoying it. I'm not big on, like, I like spices and flavor. I don't like it when I can't taste it anymore because my tongue's on fire. So usually I'll just like the good old baked mac and cheese. But that's only like, that's kind of heavy. So that's what I eat like the day before an off day so I can recover.
Yeah. Got you. Okay. You and 4 players. It's always a tough one for people. I know. Or like you could take it anyway. Like I wish people could see you right now.
Yeah.
She's feeling guilty already. All-time teammates. I don't know who stands out. Or but at the same time, it's like maybe we should just go you and 4 players. It's on the blacktop, 1st to 21. Call your own 3s and 2s. So you got to build a team for success with you. She's not like this question.
Yeah,
should we move on?
Because I'd like to think I've been blessed to play with some very
everyone knows that. Yeah, I don't think.
How do you pick just 4?
I don't know.
And then so like first in my mind, I'm thinking of like my Canada basketball teammates, like Shay, she's a dog. Like I want to play with her. She's gonna bully you, get to the basket, or she's gonna drain 3. Same with Nara Fields and Kia Nurse. And then Sammy Hill, because of her energy, like she can shoot that ball. She's going to give it to you on defense. Like you can't run with her. Bridget Carlton, because she can play inside outside. Again, can shoot that ball, but she will post you up and give you buckets. So it's like, and that's how many players right there. And that's not fair because then, and also Letitia Amir, because I just feel like she's a cheat code. Like she's so talented, she's so long. I hate playing against her. Like she makes me better in practices because she's just so long and athletic. And I feel like the sky's the limit for her. So like, how do you pick? And I haven't even touched on my teammates yet.
Yeah.
And then I just go like, I really admire playing against her. I played against her a lot, but playing with her one year in Minnesota with Sylvia Fowles, I just she was always like a post player that I always aspired to, like, because just of her dominance, like you can't stop her. It's like you just can't stop her. So it's like that's someone you got to pick on your team. So it's just hard to pick. Like I have so much respect for so many different players, and I didn't even name like not even like 1/10 of them. So yeah, that's tough. That's a
well
tough
done. Okay, fine. You can avoid it all you want. All right. Nobody's gonna unfollow you on IG. No, you make a good point. You did name drop quite a few great players there, so that's fantastic. I think it says a lot about you as a player, but also like how awesome is that you can reflect and not even how many great basketball players and people you've had the opportunity to play with and against. Pretty fantastic.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
It's okay. I could tell right away. It was 2 hands on the face and just like, all right. So then this last question for you is, who would you like to see on our podcast, A Hoops Journey? Who's got a good story out there? Can be more than one person. We're open to it. We trust that you would give us a good human being to chat with. But you're the plug, though. You're the Steve Bauer. You're the connect.
So, okay. You said you've spoken with Ace already.
Yep.
Have you spoken with like Shay Colley?
Nope.
Have you spoken with Sammy Hill?
Nope.
Bridget Carlton?
Nope.
Okay. Have you also Steve? Because I just feel like he has a great story.
Yeah, we'll get him one day. He can only avoid us for so long. Yeah.
It could be like a nudge, like Steve, it's your turn. Who else? There have to be players. Can they be coaches too?
Coach? Oh yeah, we have many coaches too. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like our coach, Noel, Muriel, Carly, and then also Coach LaPena would be a great, because he's had some incredible experiences as well throughout his career. So there's so many.
All right, we'll talk offline. I won't bother you too much, but you give it some thought.
After that, it's in the court.
Okay, fair. I love it. Awesome. This was so fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. Any sort of last ideas or thoughts that are swirling around your head? And thank you on behalf of the podcast. Thank you on behalf of Canada Basketball for all the time you've put into our country and continuing to fight for young women and continuing to fight for the program and say things like you did about that things are good, but they could still be better. And I think you're saying a lot of things that are important and that many other people feel. And I think it's your story's great. You're an amazing, dominant baller, but you also have so many other aspects to your life that you're going to share once basketball ends for you. And I know you continue to reinvent yourself. So thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you for having me. And honestly, I'm just very thankful for people like you who take the time to get to know us and share our stories. Mm-hmm. I guess last parting words would be go Canada Basketball and to dream big and believe in your dreams and take the time to enjoy the journey because the destination may not always be how you pictured it, but it's the journey along the way that shapes you. And that's where you discover what you're built of, the opportunities, hidden opportunities and lessons. And yeah, so I'd say enjoy the journey.
I did not pay her to say this or anything, ladies and gentlemen, because when I was thinking of the name of the podcast, I love the word journey, and I couldn't agree more. What a great way to end it. A Hoops Journey, episode 123, a fantastic human, an amazing basketball player, a role model, and someone we are super thankful for being with us. We'll see you on the next episode.